It's the job of a columnist to have opinions and to be able to present those opinions in an articulate and compelling manner, of course. Now, the people reading these columns have opinions too, and sometimes they voice their opinions right back in a compelling manner all their own. Two Pittsburgh columnists have been on the receiving end of such feedback lately because of things they have written. We'll talk to Post-Gazette scriveners Gene Collier and Tony Norman, who've been proving that they can dish it out and take it. Also today, maddening toys and maddening baby boomers. Cullen on Cable starts now. Good day to you. Cullen on Cable's got a good show today, if I must say so myself, so let's get right into it. I've got two things I need to vent about this morning, so feel free to join me in this combustion or anything else that happens. 333 PCNC, you call, you come in, you can do it as well. Have you noticed lately, I mean over the last 3 years I think it's been, this alarming trend in children's toys in which the toys, which used to, if you'll recall, be relatively inanimate objects, you know, they laid there until a child picked the toy up and animated it through imagination, talking for the toy, making noises for the toy. And now there's no need for a child to trouble him or herself in such a way because the toys are themselves talking. I'm wondering, actually, for the first time I thought, does this like go back to Toy Story, the movie, when toys who were just lying on a bed as soon as people left the room, in fact, proved to be animate, to have lives, to talk. Well, all of a sudden, in fact, the toys that we are buying and bringing into our homes do talk. They talk incessantly. They talk maddeningly. They talk so that you want to throttle them. And they cost a lot, too. What is Tickle Me Elmo? That was one of the wild toys you had to have a few years back. Who wants to bring this fur ball into your home that giggles, drives you nuts? Then, what was it this year? Furby, who talks some kind of gibberish and then sort of starts learning English. I find this a frightening development on many fronts, but I hadn't heard about Amazing Amy. Amazing Amy is the new doll. Every girl's got to have one. Of course, she costs $70, but then what the heck? Amazing Amy, take this Furby, has 10,000 phrases which she apparently lets loose at a moment's notice. You don't have to turn her on. Apparently she turns herself on, she wakes up at a preset time and immediately starts demanding things of you. And it's a doll with an attitude for $70. Some poor feature reporter for NBC was given one of these dolls to take to work and follow, I guess he had to take it around for a few days. And so we join him. I just want you to see this doll if you've never seen it before. We call this back talk. If you can get a word in edgewise with this stupid doll.
This, unfortunately, is where I come in. Wouldn't it be funny, thought the producers,
I'm hungry.
if we assigned our Mike to spend a couple of days with Amazing Amy?
I want something for lunch.
Heck, why not even have him take her on the road?
Banana.
To New York City.
Mommy, let's have banana.
To track down and question Amy's creators about why a doll these days...
Track down and question Amy's creators? How about tracking down and killing them? Honest to Pete. Well, here you have Amy's creator.
has to be so chatty.
I like banana.
Because you don't want her to be boring. You don't want her to be redundant. You don't want her to be
I love you.
predictable.
Oh. Let me at that woman. You don't want her to be boring? No, you don't. You want her to be this thing that a child uses her imagination on, that a child animates, not some jerk in some, factory. This doll apparently keeps on demanding, I want milk. I want milk. And then you got to dig around in this bag, and if you give her the orange juice instead, the doll goes nuts, and I want milk. I want milk. I'm hungry. I'm this. Oh. You know what this is? It's like, I don't know, it's like setting up little girls to become child abusers. I mean, it seems to me at some point you would just take Amazing Amy and throw her right into a wall. What is going on? And parents, are you nuts that you let these things in your homes? This drives me nuts. Okay, I just have to get it off my chest. Oh, God. And I really think in terms of child development, if I may get serious for a while, it's awful. It is awful. It makes the child a servant of the toy. What were those Japanese things that came over here? Those Takaguchi, Yamaguchi, these things that are hanging on kids' virtual pet things. Feed me, feed me. And if you don't, they die. And apparently children were traumatized because their gigapets were dying on them because they didn't feed them on time. Good Lord. Madness. It's madness. Speaking of madness, I got a little exercise this morning, too, when I was watching an interview on the Today Show. Katie Couric talking to some, I don't know, psychobabbling sociologist type from the baby boom generation, of which I am a member. Is there any way of seceding from your generation? Because I would like to. This thing about, boomers are now entering middle age, or we're there, believe me, I am. And this report comes out that we think it's just hunky-dory. We've never thought life is grander. Middle age? Oh, it's marvelous, darling. Well, so they're talking about this, Katie and this self-congratulatory baby boomer you want to retch. Watch this. I'm sorry, I must have gotten up on the wrong side of bed today. Okay, here you go. Where is it? Here we go. Play.
Is this, were you surprised to hear that people in middle age are kind of embracing it and not feeling like their life is all downhill from there?
Well, I wasn't surprised because our generation makes a lot of conscious choice. And I think that that's probably the key issue here.
I wasn't surprised because our generation makes a lot of conscious choice. Yes, our generation is defying middle age. As a matter of fact, our generation doesn't intend to die. Absolutely not. When we reach the next stage, well, we're just going to reinvent it because, after all, we are more astonishing than any group that has ever come this way before. We are the most self-indulgent, self-important, self-obsessed, absolutely enough to make you rich generation. I have to tell you, I want to secede. I'm seceding. This woman just keeps going.
What do you mean?
Well, we actively participate and choose rather than letting things happen. We're not spectators.
We're more proactive.
We're very proactive. We were the generation that changed the way America gave birth back in the 60s.
We were the generation that changed the way America gave birth. Excuse me, madam. People have been giving birth since the Stone Age. We didn't change it. I think I know what she means, but she's engaging in a little bit of hyperbole there. I can't take it. The entire interview went on like this. This self-congratulatory bunch of crapola. I cannot... God help us. I'll tell you. All the women my age who are sort of starting to enter that, menopausal period, all of a sudden there's 20,000 books on the shelves about menopause as if that's never happened before. Well, it was our generation in the 90s that completely altered menopause. And it was our generation that is going to apparently alter everything we do. Who says who, lady? That's self-indulgent jerks. I think I feel better. Feel better now. Who's this on line one? This is Steve? Well, Steve, save me from myself. Go ahead. I'm having a coronary here.
Boy, I'll tell you.
Ah, geez, there is more annoying stuff in this world.
I'll tell you what, though. I like the Amazing Amy's. I think it's better to throw an Amazing Amy against the wall than it would be to throw a real baby. I think they should give every high school kid an Amazing Amy for a week.
You think it would cut down on teen pregnancy?
I think it would give them a little reality check.
I won. No, that's not right. I won. Oh, God.
That's pretty much the way it is.
But perhaps so, but why would you spend $70 to bring one of these jerky little plastic things into your home?
Well, I wouldn't, but I'd give them to a high school.
But I have to tell you, see, with this new the computer chip, the computer chip is behind this. There will not be a toy that doesn't interact with you in another 3 years. They're all going to interact. We're going to be so interacted with that we're going to lose our minds.
As long as they're learning toys, I don't mind it too much.
You consider that a learning toy?
That I don't consider a learning toy unless you put it into a high school.
Okay.
And gave it to some high
But
school
I
kids.
think a lot of these toys that are taking over the job that children used to overlay their own hopes, dreams, confusions, whatever. They would make sense of the world through their play, through their toys. Now their toys are coming into the home and ordering that world for them. This is bad.
Oh, sure, but it's the same thing with music videos.
That's true.
You used to listen to a song and you'd imagine all kinds of great things. Now you have a music video telling you what to imagine.
Exactly.
So it's kind of the way the world is going.
Well, it's bad. It's bad. Can we stop it? I mean it. Can we
But you can't stop it. You can only adapt to it or change it or use it toward good or whatever.
Let me resurrect something from the 60s. Turn on, tune in, and drop out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we've got now.
It's a prescription that's starting to sound better to me, in fact. Oh, brother. Thank you, by the way, for your call. Who's this, Bob? Bob? Hello?
Yes.
Go ahead.
How are you today?
I'm okay. I got a cold.
Oh, everybody has a cold. As a father of 8, I got to have everything children. These dolls, they should send someone with them when they deliver them in a box with a strap to take care of all the whining and complaining.
Are you suggesting corporal punishment?
Well, your kids nowadays, if you're not a strict disciplinarian, they go out and they get tied up with people and they do things they shouldn't do. And if you're a stern disciplinarian, then you...
Then what? You cow your children into behaving, right?
Not really. I talk with my children, and we're open with each other about everything. My oldest is 25. My youngest is 13.
Uh-huh.
And I have two grandsons, and you need to discipline, but you also need to listen when you need to listen.
Well, I agree. Of course, parents need to discipline, but I don't think discipline has to be physical and violent.
No, sometimes it does. Younger kids, they reach up and they pull something down themselves. You smack their hand, tell them not to do it again.
Okay.
It seemed to work for me. I have all my children are well adjusted. They're all good in school. They all have good jobs, the older ones, and
okay.
I'm proud of them.
I'm proud of you that you're proud of them. Thank you very much.
Okay,
appreciate it. Bye. Hey. I don't know. I need a vacation. I need a change of pace. I need a guest or two. Thank God, because we've got them. Gene Collier and Tony Norman. If I didn't get you all riled up this morning already, these two could, because they've gotten half the city riled up, apparently, judging from letters to the editor and all sorts of other things. These guys get people's blood pressure up. My kind of guys. They'll be stopping by in, I guess, a minute or two. Hope you stay tuned.
Cullen on Cable is sponsored in part by McCardle Surgical. Access your world.
I got two of them here. We rounded them up and brought them in. I guess you might recognize them as members of the print media. Well, they're getting used to being on TV. That's what happens in print now. Print people used to, I was going to say, not be seen, not heard, just read, and now they're all over the place. Honest to Pete, they want it all. Here's two of them. Gene Collier of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Hello, nice to see you. And Tony Norman of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Hello there.
Hello there. Well,
No, hello there.
hello there?
Hello there. Not hello dear. I'm
Hello
from West Philly.
there?
We say hello there.
Who says we hello there?
People from West Philly.
From West Philly.
Yeah. Hello there.
Hello there. Okay, so now, where are you from, Gene?
I'm from over there between the I and the A in Pennsylvania.
between the I and the A in Pittsburgh.
It's in the hard coal regions.
Oh, really?
There.
So you're both Pennsylvania. I mean, but you're both.
Oh, yeah. You have a friend in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, apparently you do. Now, you two, I read your paper, as you know, and I can...
Well, we thank you for that.
Yeah, now we can feed our babies and, you know, take vacations.
Yeah, buy amazing Amy's and who knows what. Gene.
Yes, Lynn.
You wrote something. I never saw this thing you wrote, but
Well,
boy, I never heard about it.
Classic.
I know you're...
What? This was not a column, was it?
It was a column.
It was a column, and it was a column. You were... Tell us about it.
All right.
For those of us who didn't see it, offend a few more people.
I wrote a column about my experience in Catholic school, which only went to the beginning of 5th grade when I was thrown down the steps by Sister Mary in your face.
Excuse me.
All right.
Excuse me.
So, yes,
You were really thrown
not
down?
all the way down the steps. I was kind of cross-checked with one of those big pointers, and I kind of fell down part of the steps. And I thought
his fault.
And yeah,
What had you done, dear? Well, thank you for bringing that up.
right.
Now, wait a minute. What had you done?
I was trying to wrap up an extension cord from a record player or something. That's how long ago it is. You know, it was in the 20s. And she didn't like the way I was doing that, and so she kind of lost her patience just a little bit, and you know, that happened. Now, my father did not think that eternal damnation for extension cord bunglers was a good policy, and he took me out of school. Now, I wrote this during Catholic Schools Week, which seemed to offend some people, but I thought that made it topical. Now, it was only about, and a long anecdote followed. It was not just about me. It was about another boy who broke a window, and they made him replace it. And then, you know, it was grand Catholic school theater,
Right.
where anywhere else I thought it would have been just sloughed off. But anyway, it was only about one kid, one day, one nun, 35 years ago.
Exactly.
But the reaction was very hot, especially from the diocese, and especially from the letter writers, which many of which said, "You're a total disgrace, sign the Sisters of Mercy." That kind of thing. And it's, you know, it's been going on now for about 4 weeks.
It
has life. It has life. Diocesan representatives were at our fabulous offices just yesterday talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
And
they were. Now,
yeah,
wait a
it
minute.
has
You wrote this thing a month ago.
It appeared January 27th.
Okay, so it's
a
almost
date I
a month
can't seem to shake.
A day that shall live in infamy.
A day that you'll live in infamy. And you're saying, and 3 weeks later, diocesan officials are meeting with whom? Your bosses? Were you part of the meeting?
No, I was not invited.
And
and that's okay.
are you aware of what were you told lader? What
well, I think
transpired?
the diocese feels that the Post-Gazette has some kind of pattern of, I don't know what the verb would be, that they are not, certainly not pro-Catholic, let me put it that way. I have no reason to suspect that is correct. We also ran at the same time an op-ed piece by a woman on the sacrament of penance, which the diocese had a big problem with too. So I think that's what they're trying to show, that, you know, we're maybe not as sensitive as we ought to be on this thing. And
there have been Rob Rogers cartoons that they've been particularly, you know, upset.
Yes, I've noted that. But are you? And actually, I've noted a lot more letters to the editor in the last few years from Catholics who are feeling aggrieved by cartoons, by things said, whatever. Were you shocked, though, by the vociferousness?
Yes, I was. Actually, as I was telling Tony on the way over here, most of the reaction was positive. There was a lot of reaction. Most of it was positive. But the negative reaction was very, very hot. Very hot.
Okay. Are you still a Catholic?
Yeah, I'm still a Catholic. You know, when I left this morning, I left the house this morning.
You haven't been excommunicated.
He hasn't got the official papers yet.
Okay. Has there been like an editorial in the Pittsburgh Catholic or anything?
Yes, there has.
There has been an editorial mentioning you by name?
No, not mentioning me by name, saying that, you know, that this column humiliated all the sisters, whoever served the church, and that the Post-Gazette is responsible for that, when really that extrapolates on 2 levels. It was only my opinion. It was not a Post-Gazette policy.
Right.
And it was only about my experience. It was not about every nun who
and one particular sister.
Right.
Well, fine time to point all these things out, Gene, after the damage is done. Yeah. We haven't even gotten to Tony
Right, and
here.
wait till
He
you
caused
hear
his
what
own
this
kind of
guy
trouble.
did.
My gosh. Do you live in Swissvale? I'd stay out of there if I were you.
I live in Swiss Helm Park.
Oh, okay, but you have to get through Swissvale, go through Swissvale to get there.
Sometimes
I'll tell you, these guys, I don't know. I don't know if I should sit too close to them, actually. We'll be back in just a minute. Feel free to take part in this.
The official transportation provider of Cullen on Cable is Pittsburgh Limousine, the one clear choice in transportation.
There, two troublemakers, actually three, counting me, three troublemakers here. That'd be Lynn Cullen. I've been in trouble with the diocese, too. I was just telling Jean for remarks I made a few years back about the skirt length of Oakland Catholic.
Sleddos, wasn't it?
Let's get to Tony Norman and his particular difficulties.
Yeah, I fought the law.
Tony, I read the column. Now, we all get stopped, but Tony Norman he's driving home and he sees the little red lights in the back, and you had like an out-of-body experience or something. What?
Well, I wanted to prevent an out-of-body experience. That was my main concern. Actually, you know, we keep calling it a police stop, but technically it wasn't a police stop. I had already stopped when the police light had gone off and so forth. I was parked in front of the Triangle Grill in Swissvale. I had gone to buy a meatball hoagie or something, and I was parked next to the yellow line on a curve on the left side of the street.
You're not supposed to park.
I know, and so when I heard the I thought, oh, they got me for
yellow line.
Yeah,
yellow line.
And so, get back into the vehicle, sir, you know, or get back into the vehicle. Maybe that wasn't
Now, who is this? Sister what's her face?
No.
Sister in her face.
This is a certain officer.
Well, you're lucky it wasn't the...
yeah, right,
what's her
right.
name? Okay.
So I was told to get back to the vehicle, which I
You mean you got out of the vehicle?
I was already out of the vehicle.
Well, you obviously have not been stopped a lot.
No,
they say that to anybody. They don't want you coming out.
Well, see, I was already out of the vehicle when I realized that this was even, you know, I was like, should I get back in to repark the car so that it's closer to the, you know, or pull up so I'm not next to the yellow line. It was all sorts of mundane and banal things. When this police officer and his partner pulled up in their, you know, SUV and told me to get back in, which I promptly did. But I thought, man, they're stopping me for being on the left side and being parked next to a yellow line. And so when he came over and said, you know, I said, hey, slow day, eh? You know.
See, well, right away. Why did you say that's not why.
Oh, I certainly.
Slow day. That's smart, Alex.
Hey, you know, a yellow line. Don't forget, I'm under the impression that they want me for a yellow line, and this was just absurd. This is just, I mean, from where I was coming from, this is absolutely absurd.
Okay, so slow day, and what did he say?
So he says, you have no idea why we stopped you, do you? And at that point, I shut up as he said, you made a right onto Agnes Street from Monongahela without stopping at the stop sign, which I absolutely did not believe because I had to scan both sides of the street to decide where I was going to park.
Okay, so you deny the offense.
Right, but I wasn't going to argue. But I wasn't going to argue with them. I just wanted to just, you know, take my ticket like a man or whatever, or if possible, avoid getting a ticket. So I kept my mouth shut. I kept my eye on, and there were two officers, a man and a woman, and the man I was talking to in the driver's side, and the female officer still on the passenger side with her hand on her gun, holstered, but she was...
she was doing what she was trained to do.
Right,
yeah,
right.
That's what her proper position is.
I just resented the hell out of it, you know, because I thought, darn, is this about what, a stop? You know, did I roll through a stop sign, or what is this all about?
Okay, so you wrote about this whole incident.
Right, and it was more... Now,
did you write about it as a black man or as just a motorist? Because these things have happened to me, although I don't recall two cops on either side, and I don't recall that kind of thing.
I wrote about it as someone who is offended by just sort of like the police state theatricality that one must go through, black or white. I mean, the fact that I'm black, I think added
You're black.
a certain... Oh, yeah, I was this morning. But, you know...
You think it adds another layer,
definitely. I think there's a context to stops in western Pennsylvania that would be foolish to ignore. I mean, there is a history, there is a certain there's a certain fear that overtakes anyone when they're stopped by the police. But I think if you're black, there's an added twist. There's a flutter that may not be there for you or for Gene. You know, there's a flutter for me because I think, what if I'm totally misunderstood? And then what will be in my paper the next day? Tony must have been doing something. And so so I was writing more about my state of mind and how, you know, our society, in a sense, aids and abets this fear because the cops are afraid and I'm afraid. You know, how did we get to this point?
And the reaction to this column was?
Boy, you are a killer. If it wasn't for your column, that cop up in Kane wouldn't have died.
What?
Yes, there was a police officer who was killed.
Yes, who was shot.
Shot on Saturday, and so a lot of letters that came in over the weekend directly linked I shouldn't say a lot of letters, so 3 or 4, linked my column to the murder of this officer. That in some way I aided and abetted, you know, an atmosphere that contributed to the death.
An anti-cop
atmosphere, so that, you know, who knows, maybe the cops were being, you know, more gentle when they approached drivers after your column, so they wouldn't be accused of being jackbooted thugs. And look what it gets them. So, exactly, so it was unfair, it's illogical, and so forth. But I tried to address some of those concerns in my column yesterday. And, in fact, I did have a convert from previous fire-breathing position to one of more moderation, and now I understand. So I changed one mind, if nothing else.
Well, it's a tough life. Columnist, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Gene Collier and Tony Norman, and a ton of callers, guys, on the line. We'll get to you. You can have at them in just a moment.
So we looked at blue.
So, yeah, you just... Good luck is all I have to say to you. We got a lot of calls in here, and we've got Gene Collier, who's caused quite an uproar.
Uproars are us.
Yeah. Have you been to church since...
Oh, yeah, I go to church all the time.
Did you go to confession?
3 times a day. No, I haven't been to confession yet.
You don't feel that there's anything you have to confess about?
About this particular column?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, you are, what's the word? You are...
At peace with it?
At peace with it. Is that at peace with it, yes.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I am. I'd write it again.
Okay,
right.
You would.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so they haven't gotten to you either. I mean, you both stand firm. They stand firm, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so have at 'em, Pam. Pam, you there?
Yes, I'm here. I've read both their columns, and I really agree with what both gentlemen say.
Yay.
I had gone to Catholic school, and I would not send my child to Catholic school for the reason that there are some nuns, not all of them, but some, that take their job way too seriously.
Well, surely things have changed. I mean, what are the reports in from the field now? I don't think it's the same situation.
I think Catholic schools do a very good job today. And as I pointed out in this column, what some people have kind of read over, you know, they have very high graduation rates. They have very high rates of college admission. They have high spiritual awareness. They're into the sculpting of good character. This all appeared in the column.
It did?
Yes. So I don't know. I mean, I could conceivably send my children to Catholic school if I had another about $30,000 in salary. But I think it's changed now. But I appreciate Pam.
Pam, thanks.
And I want to talk to Tony,
Go ahead.
I read Tony's columns very often, and I do not think that they're racial. I think a lot of people took it as a racial bias, but I don't believe that I would stop for any policeman at this point in time, just from what I've read in the papers of what can happen.
What, you're saying you would not stop for a policeman?
Well, first of all, I don't drive, so there's no question.
What?
That takes that out of the equation.
Well, then I guess you can make good.
But if I did, and I saw a police officer coming my way, and I was African American, I don't think I would want to stop.
Yeah, well, I think you should, though.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you agree?
Stop.
Yeah, you got to stop.
But
you end up in bigger trouble if you don't stop.
Yeah,
perhaps.
or worse.
Or worse, then Johnny Gamage stopped, but Grimmett didn't stop, and I mean, these things, we know all these things now.
Right.
I'm wondering, Gene, do you think, are you a little thin-skinned? You're not thin-skinned. I'm saying the church. Are you a little surprised at what seems to be the thin skin that you encountered with?
Well, I knew there would be some adverse reactions, and some of it would come from the church. I'm surprised at the temperature of it. They're very hot about it, and
what do you think that's about? I mean, you have this musical that's been out for ages, Nonsense. I never saw it, but that sort of, doesn't that sort of have fun with nuns? No one can know Catholics of a certain age who don't trade these stories with, you know, laughter and...
Most of my reaction was people like Pam or people like who have had these similar things. And, you know, my cousin was a nun, the dear sister, the late Sister Alice Mary, and, you know, I had a great respect for her. But I think the severity of the reaction is in that acknowledgement, that they know this happened. And I think the more heat they turn on it, they can create the suspicion that I'm absolutely wrong about it.
So you think there's a kind of, they're actually trying to deny, there's a denial going on that in fact is...
yeah, I think it has something to do with that.
Denial? And if they just deny it enough,
yeah, I mean, I don't want to create the impression that this was a widespread policy, eternal damnation for extension cord bungalows. But everyone knows. I mean, there were certain sisters who were very impatient and even to the point of being abusive. Now, I didn't get into some of these things because, you know, I don't want to write this column again. I would, but I don't want to. But I mean, I got letters from people who were seriously affected by these kinds of episodes, and even an anonymous letter from a woman who relates incidents to me that are such that she can't sign her name 60 years later. You know, just a personal letter. So, you know, there's more to it than what I said. I was just talking about one incident.
June, go ahead. You there? June. June. Yoo-hoo! Joan! Never understood that, why somebody would call, wait all that time, and then disappear when you said hi. Bill?
Hello?
Hello, Bill?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
It's interesting. I enjoy both your columns. One of the reasons I continue to subscribe to the Post Gazette is because of you two.
Thank you.
But I was reading it in a morning paper. It's really a strange irony of this situation. Do you have a copy of the paper with you?
No.
Page 87?
Why? What's on it?
In Warren, Ohio, a Roman Catholic priest who stabbed himself 88 times in a suicide attempt.
Oh, yeah.
And then claimed black men attacked.
Right. Black guy did it, yeah. When he, in fact, did it to himself.
Yeah, I recall that story.
And this, I think it's the strangest story. And then right above it, they have a cross burner. He's going to jail for 5 years. And I was wondering which you thought was a greater crime here.
Oh, this is like one of those medieval scholastic, Thomistic questions. I think it's a bigger sense. You know, in a case like this, it opens.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have the intellectual capacity to answer.
No, not on a day like this.
I'm sorry, speaking for myself.
I want to ask you, though.
No, is more absurd than I am.
Hey, I'm not that simple.
Let me think here.
Well, go ahead, Lynn. Make it anyway. Don't let the facts get in the way of this.
You're a columnist, but you're a black columnist.
Point.
That point.
Again, I'm stunned by this.
You're not a white columnist, but he's a black columnist, and it seems to me that, I hate to keep shaking this at you, it's just all this talk of nuns with rulers. It seems to me that when you started, you were just a columnist, and then little by little it seemed, I don't know if you were pushed by the readers or pushed by yourself. All of a sudden it seemed like you felt you had a role to play.
I felt a little more comfortable about talking about the black experience as I got into the column, as I became more comfortable with my voice, as I began to get reaction from people. I realized that, hey, maybe there's a niche here that wouldn't necessarily be served by Gene.
Right.
You know, I mean, just
he's got the Catholic beat, so you were able to, you did that yourself then.
Oh, yes. In fact, I think if anything, there's been maybe a question or two from an editor or two that maybe I'm being Mr. Black
Mr.
Man,
Black.
you know, a little bit too much, which only makes me go in the opposite direction.
He's getting blacker even as we speak.
Right on.
I'll tell you, they're troublemakers. That's what we have here. When we come back, I want to get to this because actually right after all this kicked up, I was in a gift shop in Squirrel Hill and I found a gift for you and I never sent it.
Okay.
So I'm going to give
that won't get me in trouble.
Here and now. You maybe, yeah. No, I've got nothing.
Where's my gift?
Not a thing for you. We'll be back with more of your calls in just a moment. Okay, so I was in a shop and I found her. Have you seen her yet?
Is it dangerous?
No, it's called, I thought of you. I mean, I would normally not have bought this object. Come on, babe.
Uh-oh. Oh, my gosh. No, someone else told me about this, too.
Oh, really?
No, I haven't gotten one, though. This is my first one.
You're going to be held responsible for this.
Yeah. I've heard of this.
It's a fire-breathing.
Sparks will fly.
Can you see that it's fire-breathing? Here,
Yeah.
I'll send her to camera 1.
Sparks will fly.
Sparks are flying. Can't get in on her. You can't see the spark.
Well, man, I think you should make it clear to the viewers that I had nothing to do with this segment. This is all you're doing.
Wow.
Ah, we can't. Come on, sister, get into focus. But she has little sparks that fly out of her mouth. She's called. No, but I mean, the fact that there is an item like this says. Here, it's yours. Says something about Nunzilla. Says something about the fact that what you wrote.
Lynn, you are talking now. I am not talking about this. This is your segment.
The fact that there is an item like this says something to the effect that what you wrote obviously has, you know, some credence, that people think a buck can be made on this, really.
On this notion.
Yeah, on this notion that people who've had the same kind of experience would buy this because it's funny. What's happened to people's senses of humor, for God's sake?
Yeah, I mean, apparently that got lost to a lot of the, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it was a joke,
light.
a bit of a joke. Now I realize, you know, I'm a failed stand-up comic because I forgot the last part, and maybe that's what we're seeing here.
I don't know. Isn't anybody on the other? No one's going to beat these two up? It's been a love fest.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah, it's horrible. Harry.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm okay.
Great. You know, if you had a bigger budget for the Nun, it'd probably do better than Godzilla did last year, I think. I wanted to comment. I saw you guys. You guys are two of my most favorite writers at the Post-Gazette, and both columns made an impact. I know that Tony's column, I have been stopped, and it has the thing that caught me about that column is the cop with the hand on the gun. I think anybody in the situation, it just freaks you out when that happens. And the Catholic column, that was great. I thought it was pretty funny. I also like the column you did on the TV newscaster standing outside.
Oh yeah, I got a little flack about that too.
What? From whom?
Well, I was on a show on another station, in which they pointed out that some of their superiors were angry that I pointed out that Ralph Iannotti is outside a lot for no apparent reason. For example, when the Justice Department decision finally came down about Johnny Gamage, Ralph did that story like from Mount Washington. I didn't know they had a branch up there, and it was like 11 o'clock at night.
What is that about? I wrote it.
Actually, you're in TV.
I was, and I was a reporter, and I actually wrote a chapter in a college textbook about broadcast journalism and, in fact, live shots, what are called live shots.
Right.
And in that college textbook, I make fun of exactly what you make fun
apparently
of.
Apparently it's market research driven, isn't that right?
Well, there's a sense, yeah, obviously, consultants are always behind these things, but there's a sense that if you show somebody standing outside, it looks like they're, like you're doing something.
Right.
If you're sitting in the newsroom, it looks like you aren't. It's absurd.
Well, is it this station who had, remember when there was a terrible shooting or murder-suicide in Uniontown, I believe, a couple months ago? And I believe this station sent a reporter outside of this building for a shot on that story.
Oh, no, that
so right over my
happen.
shoulder, 40 miles over my shoulder here in Uniontown, just tonight. Because it looks like they're somewhere else.
Exactly.
Right?
And I recall actually as a reporter doing that, where you just go out, you go out in the parking lot.
Yeah, boy.
And you pretend you're somewhere.
Wow.
What difference is it?
We're going live.
Whatever happened to journalistic integrity?
It's such absolute. Now, here's June. She came back. June! Don't do this to me again.
June is teasing us. I don't think
June! Hey! June!
Oh, forget June.
I'm going to count to 3, okay? June!
Hello?
What's with you?
Hello?
Hello?
I'm
doing a TV show here.
I want to talk to Gene.
Well, yes,
go
Gene,
ahead.
go ahead.
Ask him if he ever had a nun that punished you with a rattan switch with black tape on the end.
Hey, Gene, did you ever have a...
No, I was only punished that one time, and that was with a what? A rat's end switch with
A
tape on
rattan.
A rattan.
Oh,
A rattan.
Yeah, gee whiz, that's a...
No.
As opposed to a rat tan.
And I guess you did, June, huh?
No, I guess she did. She's gone.
Oh.
I had enough of her. Kevin, hello.
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 Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mostly for Tony.
Good.
And I guess I'm glad you had him on because he seems like a very decent person. But reading the column...
That's always a problem. I'm here. Yeah, watch out.
No, that's true.
But reading the column and what probably made members of the law enforcement community so irate, and some other people, is the overall general lack of respect for authority anymore. And Tony, as he said, he may have rolled through a stop sign and parked on the wrong side of the road.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Well, that's what I gathered from the column. Maybe I'm wrong. But it said, well, right away I said, well, here you go. He's 2 offenses, and he's mad because somebody stopped him. But now hearing your explanation of it, it goes for both fears. The fear of the policeman that he wanted to go home that night, or she wanted to go home that night safe, and yourself wanted to go home, just get your meatball hoagie and go home.
Right.
But I guess hearing you today, it made me appreciate you a lot more.
Well, thank you, sir.
And I hope that you would see the other end of it, where law enforcement sees so much lack of respect, and maybe it's a sign of our times that we're not respecting any authority. We're questioning every little thing, and with maybe just cause. But
well, I like to just tell you, just for the record, that I almost became a Pittsburgh police officer.
you would have made a fine one.
A mere weeks before I was promoted to reporter from clerk at the Post-Gazette, and I come from a family of police officers, so I don't want anyone to think I had no respect for the cops.
Okay. Hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate the call. We got a break to take. We'll come back with a few more minutes with Gene Collier and Tony Norman, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Hello there. Lynn Cullen back with you. We just have a few minutes with you guys. Tony Norman, Gene Collier. Gene, you were not always a columnist. You were you were a sports columnist.
Sports columnist.
Do you like this getting into a bigger world?
Well, it's a little too much like work, Lynn. You know, in sports, you know, it was kind of a natural thing. Where in this gig, I generally don't know what I'm talking about. So I have to find out, and that is moving more dirt than I usually want to do.
So you really are having to work harder.
Yeah.
Are you? So you're not enjoying it?
No, I am enjoying it because I've met so many interesting people and done so many different kinds of things that it's been very enjoyable, even if I've had to actually do something for a change.
Okay. Well, what kind of trouble are you causing? When's your next column?
Friday.
Okay. What kind of trouble?
Oh, right about your buddy C.S. Keys.
Oh, brother, I'm sorry I asked. Never mind.
I was trying.
And Gene?
I'm trying to give you the signal in.
And Gene, what will your next call be?
No, I don't know. It's so far. No, I haven't begun to thought about it. It won't be about this. I don't.
You have to write how many? 2 a week?
Right, 2 columns a week.
One? And you say this is heavy lifting?
Well, I do other things. I do other things. I'm cleaning the bathrooms a couple days a week.
God, get me a job over at the Post-Gazette, will you? Please. I mean, really, I think I could do that. I really could.
Well,
you don't think so, huh?
I think
you gotta walk a mile in our shoes before you say that.
Okay. I think the letters to the editor have calmed down. We haven't seen any on yours yet, but I'm sure
they're
there.
coming.
They'll be there. Yours.
Mine have dried up. Of course, this could change a few things. This show.
No, I doubt it. But see, are you a little leery now? You might censor yourself.
I know this happened to you, and
yeah, I've watched myself.
Maybe I am. Maybe I always say it could be a subconscious thing, but here I am talking about it. That would have to make it a conscious
well,
thing.
I've seen you sort of like bite your tongue a few times here. See, there's this immediate, this pullback, self-preservation it's called, and it's always a pleasure to talk to both of you.
It's great.
Thank you,
Always a pleasure to read
It's
them.
great to be here.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Tony Norman, Gene Collier, read them on a weekly basis in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, one of America's great newspapers.
That's right.
Say that with authority.
That's right.
I once worked at one of America's great TV stations, and then a survey came out and said it was the worst one in the country. I'll tell you, those two are two incredibly good writers. We're very lucky in Pittsburgh to have them, even though you might not always agree with them. Tomorrow, from Days of Our Lives, Deidre Hall and Drake Hogeston for you Days fans. This is a must-see, and hope you have a wonderful day. Stay tuned for who knows what news, I guess. And I'm back on the radio from noon to 3 on 1360 AM WPTT. Join me there.
I saw you. That you're not either.
No, you know, as a matter of fact, I floated this idea, Gene, that you and I and all the rest of us who took great offense at Linda Tripp saying, I am you, that we really should sue her. We could have a class action defamation suit.
You know what? We could start an impeachment of our own.
Well, yeah, it's a defamation suit. I mean, she defamed me in suggesting that I would be capable of this kind of disgusting conduct.
She has a lot of gall to put us in her category.
Absolutely right. So, let's get a lawyer.
And listen, if you keep on doing
Tune for who knows what news, I guess. And I'm back on the radio from noon to 3 on 1360 AM WPTT. Join me there.